Then, as I mentioned, we will have the whiplash, an absolute banger. Ohio State and Oregon could be a track meet. And then we will see two teams taking hammers to each other's hands and heads as Georgia and Notre Dame put together just a real slobber knocker. Dog's going to be all right.
Which defense is showing up?
Because Georgia's defense can be a little all over the place.
Polar.
Yeah. Even within the context of the same game.
Yeah. I think some of this has to do with how they defend a mobile quarterback, right? Because, I mean, we had Haynes King was moving around a little bit. He was able to have some success. Jalen Milroe, we know what he can do. He can have some success. So, and I know they shut down Klubnik, but that was kind of we talked about Cade Klubnik kind of discovering his legs throughout the season where it got a little bit better. That to me determines the outcome of the game is kind of what can Georgia do versus Riley Leonard, Jeremiah Love, that rushing attack. If they can take it away, I still don't have the confidence that Riley Leonard can go out there and have a performance like Milroe did or like Haynes King did passing the football. He may not have to. Because he's tough, man. He's tough to bring down. He's not my favorite quarterback in the playoffs, but man, the dude wins. He figures it out. It may not look pretty. I mean, people in the chat, I think the last time we were doing some of the wrap up, like some of his jump passes are incredibly awkward. It's like, what? And they're ugly misses, but he's been way better with turning the ball over and not turning the ball over, and just kind of managing the game a little bit better. But I don't know. I lean towards the advantage of all the losses in this one because you got Carson Beck, no Riley Mills. I mean, clearly quarterback is a more significant position. I do think it's going to be tough to lose your biggest producer on the defense in the interior versus Georgia. But in a rock fight, which I think we can all probably agree it's going to be kind of ugly, I'm going to kind of lean towards Notre Dame.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to watching Riley Mills go up against Tate Rowledge in the interior of Georgia's offensive line. We lose that, and that is significant for Notre Dame. He is their leading sacks, leading tackle for loss. He is their primary disruptor on the interior. That said, they've got good guys. So it's like I don't think that defense is going to fall off a cliff without him. I just think it lowers its intensity, but lowers its level just slightly without him. I do think that this is going to come down to the same thing with Georgia when you're facing the Bulldogs. Mills is huge, but can you get pressure off the edge? Because that's where you want to attack Georgia's offensive line, is at the tackle spots. That's where it's been weak all year. That's where you're going to win more often than not. So can Notre Dame do that? Because you've got Gunnar Stockton back there. And I know he was thrown into the fire in a really tough situation, and he nearly cost Georgia that game. And if defensive backs could read blocks, they would be on defense. And that's what happened in that game. So I have serious concerns about him, but at least you've got these last couple of weeks to get him up to speed. It's not like Carson Beck was at practice, taking reps, trying to fool himself into thinking he could play. He hasn't been with the team. So Gunnar Stockton has been QB1 in practice since this all happened. So you would expect him to look better in this game. It's just, how good is Gunnar Stockton? And I've seen a lot of people say, well, Carson Beck stinks. It's probably going to be an upgrade. Carson Beck doesn't stink, man. Carson Beck was playing behind a dog poop line for a few weeks. He looked like a dog poop quarterback because of it. Is Gunnar Stockton good enough? Are these receivers good enough to make plays against this Notre Dame defense? I don't know. I feel like if I'm Georgia, if I want to win this game, it better be 14-10. I don't think if I get into a shootout, I'm going to have much of a shot to win this. But at the same time, on the flip side, I don't think Notre Dame can win a shootout either. And if you're Georgia, the key is stop them on first down. Get them in third and long, because the Notre Dame offense is horrible in third and long situations, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody who's ever seen Riley Leonard play. He is not somebody you want dropping back to throw in those situations. So that's where this game's going to be won. Can Notre Dame get pressure on the edge? Can Georgia stop them on first down? Those two things will determine this game.
Again, I think I've mentioned it before. Maybe I did going into the Indiana game, but Notre Dame, one of the worst third down teams in terms of their conversion percentage, their down to distance. They also have faced the least third downs in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
They have a top 5 scoring offense, but they also face third down the least of anybody out of the 134 FBS teams. Most teams do not get Notre Dame to third down, therefore exposing what is a little bit of a weakness, which means that Notre Dame is so good they can mask that. But Georgia is a level of defense that I think can put them there. And to your point, Tom, you get them in that third and long scenario, and then you just let Walker pin his ears back and just go make a play. Because in a 17-14, 20-17, 14-10 kind of game, a strip sack in the second half will change the game entirely. So I look at those and I see those as opportunities for Georgia to be able to overcome, all of the setbacks that they've had, both in terms of the lack of consistency throughout the season and also places where they might not have a big edge over the Fighting Irish here.
So I think Georgia has more difference makers, but Notre Dame has fewer holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good summary.
I like that.
I think Leonard's legs will be huge in this. Not only just like design runs and things. We saw what Haynes King did against this Georgia defense. I think you will have to see, the Irish copy some of that. But at its core, this is still a Nick Saban, Bill Belichick inspired defense. And Kirby is probably going to make Notre Dame win 101s on the outside against these corners, who have not been amazing necessarily this year, but they're not bad. Like, they're still one of the better secondaries in the country. Can they win 101s outside against Georgia? If not, I think Georgia's going to sit there and try to win this game by outnumbering the Irish with bodies. Now, that kind of comes to the point of Leonard. His sack avoidance is really pretty special, and it's like he's not that hard to pressure, but he's really hard to get down once you do pressure him. And that's sort of, I think, where if you're Kirby Smart, if you're losing sleep this week, it's because Leonard can scramble around, make things happen with his legs, and throw the ball after scrambling. So I think that is going to be pretty huge. Irish probably try to think, we'll see about the screen game stuff, because Georgia has tackled the screen stuff this year pretty well, although maybe not so great against Tech, which is interesting because Texas came out and tried it much like Tech did, and then obviously.
But they were flying to the ball and wrapping up. I mean, that's the thing is like
somebody been working on something in practice.
Yeah, exactly. But I see that one as Schumann and Kirby. They're just like, okay, here's what we're gonna do is we're just gonna sit them back, and then when you see the ball go, it's just
right, because
you've got that athleticism and the talent and size at those positions. You would definitely rather keep everything in front of you and just fly to the ball.
If it's turnover neutral, I got to think that just the team who wins explosive plays on early downs wins this, which, I mean, hey, that's a pretty deciding factor in the game. But like that will probably be huge. I think both these teams are sort of DOA when they're behind the chains, especially Georgia with Stockton. Like, we could talk about how the Irish have not played well when behind the chains. That's true. But also, like, do we really think Stockton will, with a bunch of receivers who are okay, but like not amazing, especially without Colby back.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver got suspended. So
Colby Young.
Yeah. I don't know. We will see on that. Is there some chance Georgia can just run it down their throat?
No.
I don't think the Irish will just allow that to happen. But
no.
I don't think Georgia's good enough at it.
Yeah, and I get the sense that Notre Dame loves what it has defensively, and there's no belief that could happen.
Yeah.
No, this is just between us. Just talking shop here. We would never encourage this. If you're Georgia, are you taking as many shots at Riley Leonard as you can?
Yes.
You're willing to sacrifice maybe a personal foul or two if you have to.
Yes.
What did John legendary Temple basketball coach
John Chaney?
John Chaney.
What do you say? Send in the goons.
Yeah.
like when they say Mighty Ducks, like 2 minutes, well worth it.
Yeah.
Saying it's like, this is one of those times where it's like, again, not encouraging, but if he starts to slide and maybe, I don't know, just
the echo of the whistle.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And look, we saw him at Duke going out there and playing, on bad ankles and, all kinds of stuff. But buddy, he was a different player when he was, I don't know. I like Ryan in the tailgate observing that we're just going to see like 15 tunnel screens between these two teams in this game. They're just going to move the ball to the perimeter and just let bodies go flying, see if you can end up popping one, because it's just going to be that kind of game. But a game that's either played in a phone booth or you're just trying to get out there where you've got some numbers. The Georgia wide receiver position, you are going up against a Notre Dame secondary with some playmakers. Gunnar Stockton, don't make a mistake. Xavier Watts will make you pay. It'll be something else. Any other final thoughts here?
Just one. If this game is a blowout, who do you guys have winning? Like, which side do you think is more likely to blow out the other?
Notre Dame is more likely to blow out Georgia.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, me too. I just think that like the recipe for that happening is Gunnar Stockton multiple turnovers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. My pick is Georgia to win. You know, my pick is Georgia to win. But if you're going to say which one is more likely to run away with it, it becomes so clear early on in the game that Gunnar can't play.
That's not inconsistent with logic, right? Like,
no.
I mean, you project that Georgia wins more often than it loses, but the tail distribution for a Notre Dame blowout is larger than the tail for the Georgia blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. Yeah. Come on, Betty. I know you're fighting through it, but you just pulled that out and just delivered it.
I'm like, the chat's
right
like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, that's, yeah.